Welcome back to Mealstounalivefor. I'm Jody Breton, and this is where food and memory meet, and not everything stays in the past. Let's get into it. Today we're making chicken quesadillas. Have you ever taken a wrong turn and somehow ended up somewhere you absolutely shouldn't be? Because tonight's story isn't just about five men who disappeared, it's about how they were found, and everything that still doesn't make sense. This is the story of the Yuba County Five. On February 24th, 1978, five friends left their homes in California to attend a basketball game. Their names were Jack Madrigal, Bill Sterling, Ted Waher, Gary Mathis, and Jack Hewitt. They were known as the Boys, close friends, all in their 20s and 30s. Some had mild intellectual disabilities. Gary Mathis, the fifth, had schizophrenia, but was stable, medicated, and doing well. That night, they were excited. They stopped for snacks. They talked about their own basketball game the next day. Everything about this trip was normal until it wasn't, because instead of heading home, they drove the opposite direction up into the mountains, into the cold, dark wilderness near Plumas National Forest. Their car, a perfectly functional 1969 Mercury Montego, was later found abandoned on a remote road. No damage, no sign of struggle, just left behind, like they had chosen to walk away from it. Now, here's where it starts to feel wrong, because the terrain around the car, freezing, snow covered, dangerous, and none of them were dressed for it. So, why would five men leave a working car in the middle of nowhere in the dead of winter? It took months before search teams found answers. When the snow melted deep in the forest, they discovered a U.S. Forest Service trailer. Inside was Ted Waher. He had been wrapped carefully in sheets. His beard had grown. He had lost nearly 100 pounds. And the autopsy revealed something chilling. He didn't die from the cold, he died from starvation. But this is where the case takes a turn from tragic to deeply unsettling. Because inside the trailer, there were supplies, not just a little food, enough to survive. Investigators found that dozens of military style sea ration cans had been opened and eaten, so someone was trying to stay alive. But right next to that, a locker filled with dehydrated food, enough to feed all five men for an entire year, had never been touched. And it gets worse. The trailer had a fireplace. There were matches. There were even paperback books that could have been used as kindling, but no fire had been lit. There were heavy forestry clothes stored nearby, warm gear that could have protected them from the freezing temperatures, untouched. And just outside, a butane tank connected to the trailer's heating system. All it needed was for someone to turn the valve, but it was never used. It's like everything they needed to survive was right there, and yet it might have as well been invisible. Ted Waher's family later explained something that makes this even more heartbreaking. Because Ted, due to his cognitive disability, struggled with basic decision making and understanding danger. He once asked why it was necessary to stop at a stop sign. And during a house fire, while his own ceiling was burning, he had to be physically pulled out of bed because he was afraid he'd be too tired for work the next day if he didn't get enough sleep. So imagine him, alone or possibly injured, inside that trailer, surrounded by supplies he didn't fully understand how to use, possibly waiting for someone who said they'd come back. Nearby, the remains of Jack Madrigal and Bill Sterling were found. Jack Hewitt's bones were discovered miles away. But Gary Mathis, he completely vanished. And Gary might be the key. He had military training. He would have known how to use the heater, the food, the supplies. So where did he go? Did he leave to get help and maybe never made it back? Did something happen to him first? Or did whatever led him into the mountains start with him? Because people don't just walk away from safety into freezing darkness for no reason, right? One man claimed he saw a group of people that night, with flashlights and even a woman holding a baby. But when authorities searched, nothing. No tracks, no answers. So we're left with this. Five men took a simple trip. They ended up in the mountains. One slowly starves, surrounded by everything he needed to live. One disappears forever. And the rest never make it out. It wasn't just the cold that killed them. It was confusion, isolation, and whatever happened on that road.